Hey everybody, I'm Christy Joy with SouthernPlate.com, and today I'm bringing a tutorial that has been requested for quite some time. I actually promised this about 6 months ago. I promised to try. So finally getting around to it today, and this tutorial is on how to make tzitzit. How I make tzitzit. The plural is actually, I believe, tzitziot, but I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that properly. What are tzitzit? Well, you remember years ago when the What Would Jesus Do bracelets got so popular. WWJD, I had one, my husband had one, and it was meant to remind us a hypothetical, what would Jesus do in this situation? Well, tzitzit, take that into a reality. What would Jesus do? Jesus did wear tzitzit. And God introduces us to tzitzit. The commandment is in Numbers 15. It's towards the end of Numbers 15 chapter. It's also in Deuteronomy 22:12, I think. But God offers the commandment, not offers, he decrees. He's like, this is what you need to do. You wear these easy. You make tassels or fringes on the corners of your garment to remind you of my commandments, to keep the commandments. And so Jesus actually wore these. The story of the woman in the blood who touched the hem of his garment. If you go and read other translations, it's she touched the tassel, the fringe, or the tzitzit. So I want to show you how to make these. Now, important things to note, this is a traditional way of tying them. There are several traditional ways of tying them. This is the one that I really like, and I'll explain why later. But this is tradition. Tying it this way is tradition. It is not a commandment. So you need to make sure you read Numbers 15 so you see what is involved, which is actually very easy. The main thing is all tzitzits need to have a thread of blue. They can just be a simple tassel. They could just be, I mean, this could be a tzitzit. This would be fine. But they all have to have a thread of blue. So without further ado, let's make tzitzit. So these are some of the tzitzits I've made for myself. If you're not familiar with tzitzit, you're probably used to seeing something more like this. You may have seen something like this before. This is more of a traditional color. You are bound only by your imagination in terms of what colors you want to use. I like to do very pretty colors, lively colors. So I just wanted to show you some of these. These are some, I just made these yesterday. And these are some of my favorites. And I'll show you some of the fasteners I used for them later. This is one of the first ones I ever made. And I don't really wear these anymore. Let's move on and let me show you how to make these. To start with, this is my favorite tool. I like to have a clipboard, and I like it to be one of these kind of clipboards. And so what you want to do, if you want, I'm going to show you how to tie them, how I tie them. You want to write 10, 5, 6, 5. Why is this important? This is going to be how we tie. This is how many times we wrap. 10, 5, 6, 5. Now this is the numerical equivalent to the letters in God's personal name, which he reveals to us for the first time in Exodus 3. Again, this is a tradition. It's a lovely tradition, and so I like to do that. But that's how we're going to make these. 10, 5, 6, 5. I write 10, 5, 6, 5 right there. No matter how many times I've made these, I still always, it's just handy to have there. And then this other measurement is 38 each. So if you have 4 different things of thread, this is just DMC cross-stitch thread, okay? And I'll share these colors later if you want to make this exact selection of them. If you cut these in strands of 38 inches, you will end up with enough thread to make one complete set of 4 tzitzits. That's what I do. I keep that there as well. Now, I've already cut mine. Where is, okay, here we go. This is a set. I kind of tie them together loosely. So this is a set of strands to make one set of tzitzits. Now, what I like to do, and you'll notice in mine as well, is I like to braid the top loop. That makes it so much easier when you're taking it on and off, and it just makes it a lot more durable too. I always like to braid that top loop. To start with, here's some I've already braided the loops on. I'll generally sit there and braid all the loops before I actually tie the tzitzit. The plural is actually tzitziot. I believe that's how you pronounce it, but I don't know how you pronounce it. What I do is I just make sure that these are somewhat even. Up at the top, I'll pinch that, and then I'll go about 1.5 inches down, and I clip that under my clipboard there. Then I separate this into 3 different sections. So you're not going to have a number that's easily divided by 3, which is fine. I just take 3 and 3 and 2. And then I braid this for about 2.5 inches or so. And the braid doesn't have to be super tight. I just want to, it just makes that loop so much nicer. And it makes it last longer. It also makes it prettier. So the main thing is you want to be neat with your thread and kind of separate it a bit from time to time as you're braiding down here to keep it from getting tangled. So we're just going to do a little braid. Okay, that looks about good enough. So now I'm going to match my ends up. See how even we are. Okay, and my loop is going to be about right here. So I usually always go over just a little on my braiding, and I'll just unbraid that just a little bit. I prefer to braid a little much than a little less. So now you can see my ends are still the same length, and I've got this loop here. So I'm just going to tie that in a knot. That's about right. And then if you need to, if your knot isn't even, you can one at a time pull each of these threads to get that knot even. Now I've got my loop here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip that knot right underneath that clipboard there. And I'm going to straighten these out. You kind of finger comb them out to get all the tangles and stuff. That's an important step. For this, I use the same color all the way down. Sometimes I pull out different colors each time, but for this, I'm just using purple all the way down. So what I want to do is I want to take 2 strands of purple and I want to pull them out of this. Just 2 strands. Okay? Straighten that up. Now I want to hold this tight, and this is important too. So I'm going to start wrapping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm keep holding this tight. Push that up there. 7. See how I'm not letting go of that. 8, 9, 10. I transfer it to my fingers, so I'm always holding it. Now I've got I got the 10, so I'm gonna push that up there. Okay. Now I'm gonna separate this about in half. You don't have to count your threads or anything, but I'm still holding on to this thread. You notice if I let go with one hand, I pinch it with the other one. Okay. Now I've got it separated, so I'm gonna come around and get ready to make my first knot. Try to keep these threads nice and even, and as I get that knot a little closer, I can pull it. And now I've got to go through and even up. My knot is not totally even there. I've got some threads sticking up, so I want to pull those. I see a purple that's giving me a little grief there, being a little stubborn on me. There we go, I got it. Now I want to straighten those out again, and I want to do one more knot. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to take, see the 2 threads I used that time are shorter than the others. So I'm going to take 2 other purple threads that are still long, and I'm going to pull those out for my next round. Getting there a little twisted. Sometimes I had to untwist them a bit. Okay. So I got my 2 purple threads. Now we did our 10, now we're going to do our 5, okay? This is Yud Hey Vav Hey. Okay, oops. I see a blue that's a little messed up there. Let me tug that. Okay, that's better. Okay. Okay, so that's 1. See, I put it in 2. I'm actually kind of passing it over and putting it there. That's how I'm holding it. 3, 4, 5. Now, push that up and tie my knot. I hope my hands aren't getting in your way. I'm sorry if they are. time. Okay, now I'm going to find 2 purple that are longer than the others. So I did 10, 5. Now I'm going to do 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, I want to reiterate that this pattern of tying them it's just a lovely tradition. It's not a commandment that you tie them this way. It is a commandment that they have a thread of blue in them. But I encourage you to go read about tzitzit in Numbers 15 and Deuteronomy 22. It's God's commandment, so His word is the most reliable source of information. Okay, so I have 10, 5, 6. Now we're going to do 5 again. Now all my purple threads are about the same length. So I'm just grab out 1. Okay, we're doing 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, push that up. Sweetie, what have you got over there? Sweetie has got a wrapper of something, if y'all hear that. And tie my knot here. Okay. And there we go. Okay, so we've got 1 tzitzit done. So I have my braided loop, and I have my 10, 5, 6, 5. And those knots are very pretty. I have 2 knots at the end. Now, you don't have to do this, but what I like to do to finish them off a bit is I'll first take my tail and find where the shortest thread is. Looks like the shortest thread is right there. And so I'll trim it to the shortest thread. So now I have that. And then I want to put a little bead on the bottom. Let me show you how I do that. I get these beads. When they're on sale, I pay about $2 or so. And these are pretty much, I always use this style. It's the same in silver and gold. And the reason why I always use this style is because it has that nice opening that's easy to put on a tzitzit. How I do that is I keep a little glass of water and I dip my tzitzit in it and then pull it out and then just kind of give that a little twist. Let me dip that a little more. Okay, to get the bead on here, I just give this a little twist. Like I said, this is optional too, of course, so if you don't want to fool with it, don't fool with it. I just kind of twist it on there. Now we have a very pretty tzitzit. And here's just, let me show you how to attach this. So to attach the tzitzit, what you would do, like if you were wearing jeans, if you have a belt loop, it's really easy. You just put it through here and there. You've got your belt loop. So you can just put your 4 tzitzits on that way. If you don't have a belt loop, or even if you do, I like to use these. These are mini carabiner clips. I'll put a link. They go really easily on your belt loop. And they even have these little locks that you can lock in place and that holds them on. But if you don't have a belt loop, which is what I generally, I mean, most of the time it seems like I don't have a belt loop. That's why I use these. A lot of people would like use something like this, but if you clip that on, this is gonna poke. But this, all you have to do is just put it on the top of any waistband, lock that little lock, and you can comfortably wear tzitzits all day long. I hope you enjoyed getting to see some of the tzitzit that I have made. I hope this inspired you. Maybe you learned something. Check out Numbers 15 and Deuteronomy 22. And then also, you know, read about Jesus and his tzitzit. And when the lady touched his tzitzit, she was healed. He's our ultimate example. Thank you. Have a blessed day.